Feel myself going, just like a flat review. Am I doing something wrong already? All I'm doing is limbering up.
And don't think about it. Don't judge yourself on it for sure. There's a couple things you can think about. One, you can't make a single mistake that I have not seen before.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
So definitely don't worry about doing that or impressing me. And I've seen everything under the sun, good and bad. So it's all about just understanding what's going to take to get you to the next level. That's all it matters.
Okay.
And I'm sure a lot of people watching this are going to be really, really jealous that you've got this man cave golf studio set up here. So.
See if I just made up my video, but I've done that a bunch, so.
Alright, well, let's get a couple on video.
Let me take a couple more.
Yeah, go ahead. Alright, so let's start face on here. Setup stuff looks really, really good. Really narrow right away.
Okay.
So this is going to be the first thing that I would start to look at. And since you said you kind of used to wrap it around, that's going to be probably a hang back there. Because when you start to swing the club around, this arm always, your right arm gets really narrow and collapsed and kind of, that's what gives you this kind of low hung off move there. So that's what's going on there. And so you got a super early wrist set and the right arm's fully collapsed at this point. So it's going to make you swing really narrow, and then my bet is you're not going to finish your turn here because by the time you get halfway back, you're going to start to feel pretty loaded up. Right, so you probably don't finish your turn, and there you go.
Can't see my shoulder blade, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can watch right about here, your right shoulder's pretty much going to stop moving. Right, you can still see it on the right side of your head, and then the arms are still going a long ways though, right?
Right.
So the arms kind of keep traveling, that right arm starts to pick up just a little bit there. Transition move is pretty good. You got tons of lag. The arms are just going to be a little bit late and stuck. Overall, it looks really good. A little bit of a flip there. Hands are kind of flipped over. Tiny bit where the arm's kind of in, left arm's kind of into your body there still. But overall, really good. The big stuff is the less your arms move, the more your body has to move. And the more your body moves, the less your arms have to move, and that's how we start getting consistency back into
Tiny arm swing.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not bad at all. It's really, really good actually. So little stuff that we've got to do to get you going on the right track. So you can start to see right here, the right arm's starting to fold and the right wrist is starting to set right away. So, yeah, you see that?
Yes.
So then, left arm's really smashed across the chest. Get deep, shoulders stop turning, and then you're gonna get a little bit of a flying right elbow there.
Yes.
A little bit across the line, but again, it's all just from that initial move when the body stops turning. If you want to keep going to the top, the arms got to keep going, right? They got to take over.
Yes.
Great transition move though. Very obvious that you're a very good player. Let's see what's going on with the path. The path looks pretty darn good. It's going to square up here a tiny bit from the inside. A little bit of a flip there. So it's approaching the ball a little bit too much from the inside, but it's a very small amount, and it will be fixed when your arms start getting so deep. Right?
Okay.
So if your arms get really deep, I'm not to let me forget this, I forgot this at the last lesson. so when the arms get deep like this, and when you're watching yourself in the mirror, your face on, you're going to start seeing this. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, but you'll see that this right arm looks pretty low, elbows tucked, and it's close to your rib cage, and then you'll start to see the logo on my shirt, my chest, start to kind of get smashed, right? So from here, I'm just going to keep doing this, and this is, again, slightly exaggerated, what you look like here going back. And then as you come down, your arms are so deep that the arc that the club is going to want to travel on is going to be pretty tight. And so now you start introducing a lot of timing. In an ideal world, if we could just redesign golf from the beginning, we'd make these shafts like vertical, not on a horizontal plane, and just swing them vertically on a plane and back down, right? That'd be the easiest way to get the ball to start straight. Unfortunately, the way our bodies are designed, we have to swing them on an inclined plane. And the tighter you make these concentric circles that your hands and club head are traveling on, the more timing becomes an issue. Because if I'm trying to time, imagine a putting stroke, right? And again, ideal world, putting stroke would travel straight back and straight through. It doesn't work like that because of the angles that we're creating with our body, the shaft angle, all that. But when we're doing this and we try to make a putting stroke like this, consistency's out the door, right? That's in an exaggerated way what's going on with your golf swing. You're making these concentric circles that your hands and club head are traveling on a really tight arc. And so now you better be really precise with your timing or you're going to be in trouble. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what we want to do is we want to make these circles more gradual, right? This is like an on-ramp to a highway. You don't want to be going and all of a sudden and then it makes a tight turn and we get this decreasing radius, right? Let's make this thing as wide and fat as we can because it just makes it easier. So when we're going back, the first key is this. When you look in the mirror, I want you to notice a couple things. You see how you can see a little gap between my arms? Yep, right through there, yeah, exactly. So I want to imagine that I could see this gap here, but I don't want to see a gap that Flipper could jump through. All right, we don't want this hoop. And you don't want to see this where your forearms disappear.
Okay.
Or worse, you see your right arm underneath. You can start to see how, as I'm looking in the mirror, all these little changes have a huge impact on what's going to happen with the swing, and you can start to see just from that as a feedback guide, that is what you want to look for. And to get there, I didn't do anything, right? My right arm is straight. It's the governor of width, right? So as this guy stays straight, now I'm forced to keep turning, 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 and that makes the arc of the club is traveling on very, very different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So what I want to do first is get your takeaway dialed in so that we get used to this very, very new feeling of keeping this straight so that you have to turn. It's going to make the club feel like it's a mile out here to you and a mile out here at the top and then a mile out in front of you coming down. But so we're going to get out of this tight circle where this is here and then you're flipping your hands and it's going to feel very wide and much more under control. Make sense?
Okay, yes.
All right, so let's do it without a club first.
Okay.
I'm going to move the camera over here so you can, when you go back to reference this later, I want you to see what you're seeing in the mirror as a reflection here. All right. So go ahead and set up for me. And I want you to show me, go ahead and put your arms out. Show me the gap that I just showed you in the mirror when you were looking at me. All right, so stay right there and relax that shoulder. Relax the shoulder. There you go. So now when you look in the mirror, you can see just a little gap between your arms. That's even a little bit high. So relax your arms. There you go. Relax both shoulders. So right there, when you look in the mirror, a very small gap, that's all you're looking for.
Right up in here.
Yep, exactly. So that's a simple checkpoint for you every single time. Now I'm going to show you what it's going to look like when you make little mistakes. So go ahead and stay there. Now let's bend this right arm like you normally do. See how the gap disappeared right away, right?
Yes.
And guess where that club's going to keep going? Because as soon as this breaks down and lets that fold in, it's going in there and that's going to give you that really shallow, deep plane.
Okay.
So that's all you're going to check for. And then if you tilt your shoulders incorrectly, now Flipper can jump through that gap, right? We don't want that either. So now we're just looking for right shoulder relaxed, shrug your shoulder up to your ear, shrug it, and depress. Feel how different that is? There you go. So you were cheating a little bit there.
Okay.
So when you were making this gap, and I said relax your shoulder because you had all this tension, the reason that you were shrugging your shoulder up It's because you're pushing your arm across your chest, you're trying to fabricate that gap. That doesn't naturally will, right? So don't try to cheat me, I'll catch it.
Okay.
So let's keep those shoulders nice and relaxed. And as you turn back, see how it's going up? It's gonna either go up or this is gonna fold. So the trick is, the reason that's happening is because this is pushing across your body.
Okay.
So when this pushes across your chest, this has to either go up or your elbow can't stay straight anymore. So you're trying to cheat. Now, don't push across your chest, just turn your rib cage. Yeah, and your hands stay right in front of the center of your chest. Relax that shoulder, keep that straight.
That's what I'm gonna have to work on, relax my shoulder.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one, but it won't be able to stay relaxed if you keep swinging this left arm across your chest.
Okay.
Because as soon as that happens, this has to change. You either have to give it space going like this, or you gotta fold it. There you go. This is like you're turning your hand in a bucket to me, right? That's it. And you're just doing this from an inclined angle with your spine, and you get that perfect gap. There you go. Now relax the shoulder. You see just a little gap? Yeah, you don't want to be able to see it that low. Do it again for me, so I'm gonna watch over here. Watch yourself in the mirror, just turn. There you go. Relax that shoulder.
That's gonna be my next 5 minutes of perfect over and over and over thing right there.
Getting that rotation, 5 minutes of perfect rotation is what we're trying to do. So if you just forget about golf for a second and you just turn, you're starting to feel it from here, and right now you're still feeling it more up here, and that's why these muscles are activating. So think about just turning your belly, or your chest, to me like we're gonna talk. Forget golf for a second. Just turn them in. There you go. It's that simple. Good. Good. And you just do that from your setup position, and you got it. Just turn and talk. Relax that.
Maybe, yeah.
And then turn your hands like we can shake hands like that posture. Just a little bit. Relax the shoulder. Relax both. Okay, go back again. Okay, good. Now I want you to imagine that your hands are going to stay right in front of the center of your chest. As you go back, I'm going to move. So I'm 90 degrees to your chest. There you go. Good. There you go. Okay, good. You're right there, and just make sure you stay
in my tilt.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You got it. There you go.
That's what wants, if my tilt wants to come out.
You got a little bit too. This mirror is
Too
messing
much
me up.
axis
If
tilt.
the mirror looks funky, or what? 'Cause it looks like you have too much tilt. Yeah, that's a little bit too much.
Let me straighten up here.
Yeah, that's plenty. And as you go back, that left shoulder's going to go down. You're going to have that nice little gap there, very small. Perfect. There you go. Here, relaxing shoulder. Now keep turning. Turn, no, turn, turn. There you go. You keep turning, and then your arm's going to come up and drive in. Once this shoulder blade has got all the way back, you can see this back on this side of your head in the mirror.
Okay.
So the trick is to put those two pieces together like we were talking about earlier, is you're going to drill this a bunch, right? But then you're going to be like, okay, I got that, but now what? Right? How do I get up from there? And that's where you're going to start doing that 5 minutes of perfect backswing. Go through that whole sequence, feel what that is like, look at it in the mirror, make sure it's right, go down to address, quickly back to the top. But you're not going to be thinking about stopping halfway back to the takeaway. You're going to learn to blend that all as one motion, but if you learn how to move during the takeaway correctly first, you'll stop doing this stuff, you'll stop making those mistakes, and you'll be making a proper takeaway while learning what it feels like to get in that proper position at the top.
Okay. Yep.
So that's kind of the sequence that you do. You got to learn the takeaway first because it's all about learning how to rotate and shifting your weight, right? You're doing that stuff fine, but a lot of people start making mistakes where, you know, they're doing what you're doing, pushing that arm across the chest, this fold, or they tilt, or whatever. You're just learning how to do this, and you're learning how to continue that all the way to the top. So that's why this first part is so important, but eventually you stop worrying about, okay, did I get this perfect? It should already be there, and now you're just moving through that position to get to the top. So let's try getting the takeaway position right again. Do that a few times, and we're going to start moving all the way up to the top. Good. So a nice little gap there. It's perfect. Keep going all the way top. So you're focusing on just finish. No. Don't just move your arms. Your arms moved a ton there. I want you to keep turning. Big turn, big turn, big turn, big turn. Relax your arms. you're gonna feel really wide at the top with your hands, right?
And that's a good thing.
It's a good thing for two reasons. One, width is free speed. The wider that club travels on an arc, the more time you have to accelerate, first of all. Second of all, it forces you to turn. If you create width and you don't just do this with your arms and swing like you're in a phone booth, there's no power there because you didn't recruit enough muscle fiber, right? If you keep this straight, the club's either not going to move at all or you're going to be forced to turn and recruit all this muscle in your core. So that's why it's so important that you think about keeping this straight, 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 still straight, still straight, still straight. Oh, I've got so much load here. I've got something to work with. But it also gives us that benefit of not having that club going way deep inside. And so now we got that really tight arc that we're trying to time a flip of the club face at the bottom. So it's going to do a bunch of things for you to help you start being more consistent. You just, at the end of the day, the more you move your arms, the more variability you introduce to the swing. The less you move your arms, the less variability. Like a putting stroke, right? There's a reason we don't putt like this. And back in the day, you know, the old pop putting stroke back in the day. We're trying to minimize all that stuff. It's just big body-driven stuff, very little arm swing. Let's try it again. I think we're going to get hit by a tornado out here, it sounds like.
No.
Not this time of year, I guess, right? Keep turning, relax. And a little tiny arm swing. So you're going to feel like your hands are as far away from your head as you can get them. And it's all going to be controlled by this guy.
Okay.
And if this guy stays straight, then you're going to recruit way more muscle than you ever felt before. There's a big turn. Now you can see that right shoulder blade popping out over here. You're turning 20 degrees more than you were before. Good. There you go.
I work that. That's going to be
Yeah, so you're
my
just
focus.
you're trying to move too much from here, and you've got to learn to move from here. And that's where it's going to grab a seat on one of these chairs or something. Any of these, it's going to be a little tall. You just sit right here on the end of it, put your feet on the ground, and turn. You can't move anything else now. But the trick is to not move from your shoulders, it's to move from your core. And rotate, like you're trying to move your sternum, your breastbone, to the right. Not your shoulders around your rib cage, you're moving your rib cage.
Okay.
Turn your rib cage. There you go. Notice as you do it again, look at that, your shoulder stays down just fine, doesn't it? But what you've got to do is start feeling those muscles, and this chair drill forces you to do that. Because now you can't move your legs, so you can't cheat by just spinning your hips. And just doing this doesn't do anything, right? So you're starting to feel this move your rib. There you go. Big turn there. Good. Yeah, there you go. Start watching your shoulders.
I
And
can
now you
feel
can
it
start
now.
to focus your feeling down here. And these guys get to chill out. And that's what's going to make it to the top way easier. There you go. Good. Keep doing that. Now, replicate that feeling in your posture. Same thing you just felt there. Feel those same muscles. Aha. That was good. Really good. Your shoulders stayed depressed that time. Now you feel these guys working. You feel relax the shoulders now. You made a huge turn. It's not perfect, but we're getting there, right? There you go. Good. What do you feel in your body now compared to what you normally feel?
Tension up in here.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been sitting, this has been pretty engaged
Yeah.
since I watched how to hit it swing over 100 miles an hour from that one guy.
Yeah.
I've gotten into here, but not up this high.
Yeah, exactly. The whole golf swing happens from right here to right here. It's all of it. There you go. There you go. Do that one more time. Good. Stay right there. Now just extend your arms out. Like, yeah, exactly. There you go. Down with our shoulders. That'd be our swing. Right? Your shoulders got to rotate perpendicular to your spine. So when you're doing this drill and you're watching yourself in the mirror, make sure that you don't turn really flat. You can see that my head's going to move off the ball when I do that, and my shoulder, my left shoulder, if you grab the club, is going to look almost parallel to the ground, right? And if I'm really bad, it's going to be really parallel to the ground. but it should rotate perpendicular to my spine, which means it's going to point down just outside the ball.
Okay.
When you're doing that, just make sure that your shoulders rotate on that plane that you set it to address.
Okay.
There you go. Good. There you go. Perfect. Excellent. Great turn.
Is that
It's perfect.
90?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You need to tell me, right?
Okay.
I already know the answer. I need you to know the answer.
These
Right?
things flying through my head.
So you look in the mirror, yeah, you see that right shoulder blade popping out there? You know you turned.
Okay.
That's your simplest checkpoint. That's why the mirror is so valuable. So you don't need to ask me. You need to look at it and know. And you're going to feel it now too, way more than what you're used to.
Yeah.
Way different muscles. So.
It's like I started all over now.
Well, at first for sure, because you know if you're not obviously when you told me that you used to swing way around and you were really flat, it's obviously all arms. That's what creates that, right? So exactly. So when you're doing that, to break that and start feeling big muscle movement, big body movement, and getting away from just the arms and hands and all the timing involved with that, then that tells you that it's going to be a big transition going from one to the other. Because it's one thing when you're swinging really armsy and handsy. That's where we use everything in our daily life, right? All your tactile sense, everything you process the world through, arms and hands and fingers, right? That's why they're so sensitive to everything that we do. And so when you pick up a golf club, that's your first instinct. Flip this thing around because I feel like I have control. But the irony is, by using these muscles that you don't feel have anything to do with the golf swing, because you're totally disassociated with these in our daily life. That's why I use that chair drill all the time. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, that's what it feels like to turn my rib cage instead of just flop my arms all over the place, right? So it is going to be a transition for sure, because this, you don't have a lot of kinesthetic awareness in what it feels like to use your muscles powerfully in the golf swing. You know what it feels like to use your arms and hands and shoulders. So doing a lot of these chair drills, watching yourself in the mirror, and like you're doing, having the discipline to not use your arms for a little bit, to just get this working, and then you start adding your arms back into it, and then the golf club and the ball, the fastest way to do it.
I definitely need to start because of this, just without any other thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
That's, as soon as you elevate this shoulder, you're totally disconnected from all of this stuff.
and Craig told me on several videos that I was stopping my turn and my arms were still going.
Yeah.
But having somebody tell me why exactly, like you can see it close,
Yeah.
makes a big difference.
It does. I mean, sometimes you just get that. We need that one little push to get us back. Like, oh, that I was missing this one key piece, and that's what you've seen in most of these lessons. It's like, oh, I didn't realize that my arms were doing this, or my shoulders doing this, or my legs straightening, or my head's moving off the ball. It's always fundamentals. Everything with RST is always about fixing the fundamentals. That's all I care about. And the fundamentals are stupidly simple. Can you shift your weight and rotate? That's 90% of golf swing. The rest of it's just detail. So everybody kind of does the same stuff because we don't pay attention to the little stuff. And that's the little stuff that is what really matters the most. So let's see if we can get you to the top. I want you to keep doing some backswing drills. Let's try it with your arms out. Yeah, I'm going to push you a little bit. You're going to work with keeping this nice and relaxed. You're going to focus on the muscles you felt during the chair drill to get you to the top. Keep turning, relax. Yeah, right away, okay? So again, as soon as you put your arms out there, I'm going to let you try it one more time, and then I'm going to show you how to correct it. Try it again. Okay, stop right there. Look in the mirror. Where'd that gap go?
It's gone.
Gone, exactly. There you go, right? That's why you always watch. Don't rely on feel. Rely on what you see. Close. Now, it's a weird handshake, right?
Yes.
Ah, see all the little details, right?
Exactly.
When you go back and watch the videos, it's going to be like going from black and white to color. It doesn't like, oh, that is really important. I feel this. I didn't.
That's exactly right. You don't think the handshake's really important.
Super
as long as you
important.
get to.
It all adds up. Okay, stop right there. Relax. There you go. So here's the way to correct that. If you find that you're practicing on your own, you kind of keep having the shoulder go up, but you know you didn't do that in the chair, right? So what does that tell you? What was different between the chair and what you're doing now?
I can move all the way from the ground up, and
What was
in the
other
chair
thing
I was
that
just
changed?
spinning around.
What else did we change when we got doing what you're doing right now? added your arms,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. In the chair, I was just,
Exactly. And when you
Okay.
did this just with your arms across your shoulders stay down.
okay.
So this is a clue. This is a diagnostic tool to know, okay, I sat in a chair, I did it perfect. I got up here, put my arms across my chest, I did it perfect. We added one more variable and it all falls apart. And that's letting you know what's going on. So when your arms start swinging across your chest, like I said earlier, this elbow either has to fold or the shoulder has to elevate. So what you need to do is start getting the recognition of when you start pushing from that left side. Fastest way to do that, you've already done this, I know you can do it right, so I'm going to challenge you a little more. Put your hands in this namaste position, and we do the exact same drill. And when you finish your backswing, your hands should still be right in front of your sternum. Do it again. All right, no problem. Now look at our shoulders, they're both down, huh? Simple enough, do it again. Now, go 3 inches out from there, do the exact same thing. Oh, look, here's your sternum, look where your hands are. Now, one little inch doesn't seem like much now, right? But when you go 2 feet further out, that inch is going to be 6 inches. So let's go back here and do it right. Hands are going to stay right in front of your sternum. There you go. Do it without moving your head, because that's cheating. Turn. How are they getting there, huh? You're pushing, you just don't recognize it yet. This is why we do baby steps like this, so that you can start to become aware of the state. So now what you got to do is learn to relax this and move from your core like you can't, like you were sitting in the chair. You can't use anything else. You're just going to rotate your rib cage. There you go. And your hands are just going to get moved by your core. Now look, they're right in front of your sternum, right? There you go. So this is where that 5 minutes to perfect rotation, that's what this whole drill is. You start out like this, you go here, you start slowly go a little further out, a little further out, a little further out, until you recognize that this little bit of deviation is happening in your swing, because by the time you're fully extended and you've got the momentum of the club that wants to go that way, your hands are buried, right? And that's when you start doing this and so on and so forth. So take your time, adding a little bit more distance between your hands and your rib cage as you go back. Good. Down with the shoulder. Good. Yeah. Good, there you go. Keep your head still. Watch yourself in the mirror. This is important. There you go. So when you're touching your sternum like that, it makes it really easy, right?
Uh-huh.
That's where you want to start, because now
Yeah.
you're starting to feel, okay, I have to use something else other than just my arms. And then you take those training wheels off when you stop being able to touch your chest. Even just by moving it an inch, it's enough to challenge your brain to recognize whether or not you're pushing to the left.
Yep.
There you go, right in front of your sternum. Perfect. Good. There you go. Okay. Yeah, good. Are you catching it? This is how you start learning. There you go. Good. Then you challenge yourself a little more.
Okay.
You do 5 or 10 in a row that are really good. Challenge yourself. Good. Really good. Good. Shoulders are staying perfectly down, no problem. Good. Good. Let's try it a little further away. Keep pushing yourself. Good. So you feel now, if your hands move, you're going to start to recognize that this is moving across your chest, and that's that pushing motion is what's causing your hands to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and then all bets are off. When you start getting comfortable with this, you're going to start work your way through that whole 5 minutes perfect rotation sequence that you're getting your hands eventually all the way out, and then as you keep going, you're going to start learning to elevate while turning, and that's where you learn how to rub your head.
Pat your belly and rub your head, or rub your belly
Something,
and pat your
right?
head.
That's what you're doing. You're learning to do this while doing this, right? And that's all it is. Instead, what every golfer wants to do is they want to turn and swing their arms together, and that's why you have this happen. You've got to learn to do this while doing this, and that's the whole trick to it. So let's do just a little bit of that, before we wrap up here. So go ahead and go all the way down to address. I'm going to really challenge you now. Now you turn, I'm going to move your arms for you. There you go. There you go.
Straight.
Now look, shoulders nice and relaxed. Shoulders are down. And if you look in the mirror, we should have, if you're in our posture, have that little bit of gap there. There you go. So I elevated your arms for you while you control the rotation. Relax. It's okay. Give you too many things to think about, one will break down. That's normal. Rotate from here. Good. Kept your shoulder down. We have a little gap there. Good. We can shake hands. We're getting there. There you go. Yeah, you caught it. Good. Little gap. Perfect. So this is the first thing, right? The whole problem with your swing, the inconsistency, is coming from being deep and making this arc too flat. Right? You make it too flat, it's really tough to get everything to work back out.
Time is right.
You just got a little bit too much time involved. It's not a big deal at all. It's relatively very, very minor what you've got going on. This change, however, to make the step to the jump to the next step is going to feel different, but you'll see on camera like your swing just looks simpler. You know, you get a little bit flying elbow, a little bit across the line, a little bit long at the top. That's all because of that initial movement is swinging your arms around your body. You're following that momentum, and you'll never be able to stop and swing short at the top, no matter what somebody tells you. Like, oh, I feel like you're stopping at 9 o'clock. Well, if you felt powerful there, you would. But that's why that idea of just, oh, swing to here, it doesn't work when you're swinging your arms. You're never going to feel like you have any power. So that's why you've got to learn to get power from your trunk. And you've got to go through it in this sequence. So you go 5 minutes of perfect rotation, keep working on these drills. You know, as you get here, you'll shake hands, you'll have a little gap, shoulders will be in the right spot, and then go 5 minutes of perfect backswing to learn to get into the perfect spot, and you move through the takeaway. But the whole trick is how do you initiate the swing? If you initiate the swing with your core and get that rotation, your arms aren't really doing much of anything, then you're on the right track. But if the first move, we did it just like this, and your first move, by making just a little bit, was that much deviation. I put my hands all the way out, and my hands are now 6 inches away from where they're supposed to be. And now we're going to just keep going long across the line and all that stuff at the top. So sequence is key, getting that rotation to get you moving correctly. Without the arms, slowly introduce them back in there. And then as you get comfortable with that, then worry about adding a golf club, flip it upside down, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Any questions for me?
About 1 million.
Lay them on me. You got me here.
Okay. Couple of things.
All right.
This pertains to what I've been working on, which obviously I skipped a very important initial thing.
Okay.
I used to swing on this all the time. This little bitty mat
Okay.
in the office in there. And ever since I started loading here, when I swing, this mat goes.
Gotcha.
And it never did that before, until the other night, when, after I watched that video and I started really loading and feeling that.
Yeah.
Okay, is that, you think that is?
It's counter torque. It's okay. It's normal. You don't need to be that aggressive with your load.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, exactly. You're now feeling muscles that you're not used to feeling in your swing. You're like, oh man, I can do something.
From the ground up.
Exactly. You can. Once everything's working correctly, I want you to hit the ball as hard as you can. That's the fun part. So I'm not going to tell you like don't use your legs. But if you're doing that, when you use your legs that aggressively, it speeds up the rotation of your hips. Totally fine, as long as everything else is matching that speed. If your hips are fast, the arms got to be fast too.
Okay, and what, I think I saw this on one of yours, I don't really have to worry about spin out as long as my right foot stays planted through impact. Is that?
Your lower body can't spin out. Right? Your upper body still can, but you definitely can't do that on camera.
Yeah.
And I don't think you would. It's just not the way you're.
I've been working on back to the target as long as possible.
That looks great. You're just too deep and narrow.
Okay.
Your swing's just too deep and narrow.
Yeah.
But that stuff I wouldn't worry about. So as far as spinning out, as long as that right heel is down, you can't turn your hips any more than you're supposed to. So it's a simple way to never have to worry about that again.
Okay. The other things were, at what point, going back, do you feel relaxed and then engaged? Is there Is there a point where you consciously or subconsciously now engage the right glute? Because what happens when I set up and I know I'm going to engage my right glute,
Yeah.
my legs begin to grab the ground right here.
Yeah.
And that makes just the takeaway harder.
I don't feel that aggressive ever, really. I don't feel like I'm loading hard into my right leg.
Okay.
It's new to you, right? So you're gonna think, oh man, this is like crack cocaine. I got all this more power to me, right? It's just all brand new stuff, and so you're gonna start kind of overdoing things.
Okay.
My swing, to me, I hate talking about feelings because they're totally subjective, right? But if you ask me, do I feel my legs really pushing and loading up and all that stuff? My swing feels to me like I'm falling asleep.
Like a what?
Like I'm falling asleep.
Okay.
That's my goal. My
Okay.
goal in golf is to not work hard. My goal in golf is to have an effortless golf swing. And if I want an effortless golf swing, I can't be putting effort into it. So my whole thing of what I'm trying to get you to do to engage and activate these muscles is not to overdo it, right? We're not trying to squat 300 pounds. We're trying to hit a ball with a stick that weighs an ounce and a half. So you take something and we kind of take it to the nth degree, which is fine because you kind of get to play with it and have some fun, and then you need to back it back down. It should feel that these muscles are engaged, but just like if you were going to jump right now, right? If I told you to squat down, you're not going to, okay, man, right? It's not like that. It's like, hey, let's go. It's fluid, it's quick. We got to take advantage of the stretch shortening cycle of muscles, and you can't be locking them into place. So you just got to relax a little bit and let things start. You've got to engage the right muscles, but it's not like it's a weightlifting competition, right? So when you realize that, like I said, I can set up the ball and like, okay, just whack it and go on to the next one, right? It's shouldn't be like that.
Okay. The other one which related to it was, at what point do you feel like everything releases?
As far as what, when you say everything, that's a lot of things.
Your glute and your core muscles. At what point do they fire and go through?
Well, during the transition, they're doing a lot of work, right? Because we're shifting the direction of the club going back this way to go the other direction, so they got to do some work.
They start moving.
Yeah, and then at impact is where everything to me is done, right? My body is done moving. My hips are done moving. I'm posted up, and that's when I engage my glutes the most. Is at the moment of impact.
Squat to square.
That's the transition, is squat to square. And then as I post up on this and lock everything in place, that's when everything releases.
Okay.
This has to stop and stop moving so that the club can then really go. So the most amount of muscle activation, I guess I would say, happens at impact when you're trying to post up and stop, because you're going from an acceleration to deceleration and stopping, essentially. And so that means those muscles have to fire. And that's when everything releases.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think the only other one was, and you mentioned this the other day, was the difference between the 7-iron ball position and the driver, and you said it was like maybe that much.
Yeah, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? If you want to hit the driver as far as humanly possible, then you need to create the most positive angle of attack within reason that you can. But there's a point, there's a trade-off, right? If you're trying to hit as far as you freaking can, you're probably going to have to create an 8-degree positive angle of attack, which is absurd. But to do that, you got to swing end out about 8 degrees as well. So you're either going to block it off the planet or hook it off the planet, or if you time it all well, it's going to go really far. But you're going to launch the ball to the moon. So that's the way you take advantage of that. But that's extreme. Like if you're a long drive guy, I have different stipulations for what I'm going to do versus a guy who's trying to play golf and get the ball in play. So that's why it's a small variation to, if with let's say like a 3-wood or something, or a 3-iron or 3-wood, angle of attack may be like -1 or something, right? And the ball's more or less in the exact same spot it is with every single club in the bag. Now with the driver, if you want to go from -1 to neutral or positive, then you don't have to move it up very much at all. You're just talking about 1 or 2 degrees of variation. So when you're trying to put it in play, the ball position isn't going to change much. If you're trying to nuke it, then you can. But again, we're not only playing golf then, right? We're playing long drive competition, which is fun. I love doing it, but different rules.
Okay, so gradually over the years, I have moved my driver literally, probably right up here,
Yeah.
and did this
Yeah.
and I got to looking. I bought a TaylorMade and it was 10.5 degrees. So I don't know
That
what
ball
I was
probably
launching
pretty
at.
pretty high, with a lot of spin. But yeah, there's always a trade-off for this stuff, and like there's a reason that most tour pros hit down on the ball with the driver, because you're getting your release point in the same spot over and over again. You don't want to have to maintain a wedge swing, a short iron swing, a long iron swing, a driving
Yeah.
swing. It's just too much freaking work, right?
Yeah.
So most guys, and myself included, I'll move the ball up a little bit, but I know that I'm adding some variability in the swing, but I'm also going to pick up 10 yards of carry or 20 yards of carry by messing around with that ball position. But in an extreme scenario, I might move it up, 2.5, 3 inches
Okay.
max.
Okay.
But then I know I'm like, it better be downwind, because if I hook it, it's going to go 20 yards left of where I'm aiming.
Yeah.
So just got to be careful with that stuff.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right, man. Thank you so much for
Hey, I enjoyed
bringing me
it.
to, where am I? Blanchard, Oklahoma?
That's it.
Blanchard, Oklahoma. All right.